5 things that Victorian women actually really didn't do very much. Please continue to support my channel by subscribing. They didn't die young. The average age of living was just shy of 40 years old, but this average was swayed by a high infant mortality rate and children dying of disease. However, the women of the Victorian era could see lifespans of 50 to 70 years old if they had managed to live past childhood. And as the century progressed and more was understood about sanitation, nutrition, and improved medical care, the lifespan only increased for Victorians. They didn't marry young. At the end of the 18th century, the average age a woman would marry was 26, with men being 2 years older at 28. But during the 19th century, the age dropped slightly to an average of 22 for women. This is a lot higher than many perceive women during the Victorian era married. They were not getting wed at really young ages or just after their teens. They were marrying at a very normal age, and the working class women also tended to marry slightly older than the men. They didn't marry their cousins. Marrying your cousin was perfectly legal and normal during the 1800s, but this practice was starting to die out in the 19th century. Marrying in the family allowed the families to keep their wealth, and the ease of having suitable brides and grooms were readily available. Later in the 19th century, though, marriage between cousins became less common. Due to the improvements made to transport with the railroad, it improved the mobility of men and women, meaning they could search wider for their suitable partner. And due to a better understanding of medicine, it was becoming increasingly clear that breeding within the same family was leading to birth defects. Although the tradition was starting to die down in the commoner population, the practice remained popular for royalty. Charles Darwin married his first cousin, Emma Wedgwood, for instance, and Queen Victoria and Prince Albert were themselves first cousins. They didn't wear tight corsets. When we think of the Victorians, an image of a woman squeezing herself into a tight corset comes to mind, and the removal of ribs to make the waist smaller is rumoured to have happened. However, it didn't. The Victorian era did not involve maids forcing their ladies into tight corsets over the bed. Instead, the fashion of having a smaller waist could be reached with the use of a whalebone and ribbon. Corsets were only worn in moderation to improve a woman's posture and to keep the internal organs in a straight manner. They didn't wear pink. Nowadays, we associate pink with girls and blue with boys. However, this was not the case during the Victorian era. In fact, the gender-based colours would confuse the common person during this era. White was the most common colour for a baby or a child, regardless of their sex, and this was due to the easy ability to bleach these clothes so that they did not discolour. From the age of 6 or 7 and until adults, the children would wear paler colours of the adults. Red was considered a strong, virile, masculine shade, while blue was dainty, delicate and feminine. Young girls mostly wore blue, as it was considered a dainty, delicate shade, while the boys wore pink, which was a paler shade of the red that represented strength and virile. It wasn't until the early 20th century that pink began to be assigned to girls and blue to boys. Please continue to support my channel by subscribing. Please comment, like and subscribe if you wish for more stories, and leave your suggestions below and I will endeavour to cover them.